I have a team of people.
Hello, Fasha, we can't hear you.
Where what we do is to write CVs, cover letters. I also, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, Shuzenda.
Okay, I think Fola Shade is having a glitch with her network. She has fallen off, but definitely she is going to join us back. Okay, she's almost here, so let us prepare our minds. Please ensure you are jotting down a lot of these things, because they are things that you need to be conscious of, not just knowing them, but you need to now put them into practice so that our society...
Hi, can you hear me now?
Okay, welcome back, Fola Shade. You can have the floor.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was interrupted by a call. I'll just do a brief. I'm Fola Shade Akimbole. I work as a consultant at Deloitte. When I'm not working, I manage a group of people where we write CVs, cover letters for people, and then we do like recruitment for growing businesses. Firstly, I would like to appreciate the team behind the Global Inclusion and Diversity Alliance. I would like to appreciate Sophie as well. I think it's a great initiative, and I know for sure that it starts with the awareness, which is what we're probably doing right now, and then actioning the awareness that would drive an all-inclusive environment at the workplace. And I'm sure that's what this initiative is all about. I mean, the more action we make, the better platform it is for us and the generation coming behind. So well done. Now, going into the topic of today, which says inclusive female leadership. I think the first thing we need to do is to understand inclusion itself and then understand what diversity is. This will give us a better understanding of the topic, after which we will now streamline to female leadership. Well, for workforce diversity in layman, I like to think of it as the adoption of a no bias structure when it comes to employment. I say that because no bias in form of no preferences for employees in terms of gender, race, ethnicity, religion, socioeconomic background. What this means is that anyone that really fits into a general role description is deemed fit to be able to work as an employee. No bias, no exceptions, everyone have equal opportunities. If you consider all of what I've mentioned right now, you'll probably see that there's a lot to be done in Nigerian labor markets when it comes to being compliant or practicing workforce diversity. For inclusion at the workplace, it's just the practice of creating a workplace where all people, regardless of the characteristics I had mentioned earlier, have equal access to opportunities. It means either opportunities in leadership, opportunities in decision-making, either you're a male or a female, everyone is given the chance, everyone is given the platform, everyone is welcome. If we abide by all of those, then you can say that the environment drives inclusion. So you can see that from the description I've made, they work hand in hand, but they are quite different. So you can't make the mistake of saying they are the same. And in this digital era of doing things where things have changed a lot, it is really important for companies to actually adopt it. So in fact, you see that on some companies' website, they will say that we are an employer of equal opportunities. We encourage diversity. We encourage inclusion. Check the big companies, check the big fours, check the global company. It's now a global practice, it's a global standard. It is important. It's an issue that we should all concentrate on, right? From a company perspective and even from an individual perspective. Bringing it down to Nigeria, we believe that inclusion issues, are top management issues. When you get to the board level, you see that you have more men, especially for the purpose of this topic. See that there are more men. Where are the females? What's happening when you have like 90% of the board level or top level management being occupied by males, right? And this has been an issue that has been existing for a long time, in terms of female leadership, in terms of female inclusion and everything. But for me, I think that since COVID, things have changed a bit. We can no longer concentrate on top level management. Things have changed in the sense that strategy for businesses have changed. It has become an emergence of change or of doing things differently, regardless of your level of employment, regardless of your role, regardless of your responsibility, regardless of how the structure is from a top level to the down to the last level of the pyramid. It is important that equal platform is given for people, employees, employers to drive, to make decisions, regardless of if you're a male or a female. Even the intern needs to be given the platform to execute, to make decisions, because we are no longer in the old ways of doing things when it comes to employment. But for the purpose of this session, I'll briefly talk about female leadership, right? So, I mean, it's obvious that there's been a recent drive to break the bias over the years. The awareness is there, it's happening, right? But despite the awareness, what exactly are we getting the outcome? What exactly are the numbers saying? I saw that on Business Insider, it says as the average percentage of women at the executive level is 20% in Nigeria. And this is even higher than the global average of 17%. So what's happening to the 80%? Those are questions that we should have in mind. At the end of the day, even if we concentrate on top level, because I like to use top level statistics, because at the end of the day, females are trying to make progress in their career path. They're trying to get to the heights where their efforts is seen, where they're able to drive processes, able to lead teams. They are giving the platform to execute as well, right? But I also want you to know that as much as is important to look at the top level management, being a leader doesn't necessarily mean that it's until you drive a team or you assume a position. Even in your daily role as a female, are you appreciated? Are you allowed to share your ideas? Can you speak? Can you make a decision? Are you seen? So these are some of the questions I feel like we need to address as females when it comes to leadership. So you don't need to be an executive level. You don't need to head a team before you become a female leader, even in your current role, right? So my concern rather would not be to whine over what has been in existence in terms of the reality gap for men or female leadership. I think it would be more around how we should provide a solution, what I think can be done to drive inclusion, to drive diversity, to drive the room for female leadership. I think the first thing I would like to talk about is awareness. I mean, if you're on this call right now, it's because you are aware. Awareness is just understanding the reality gap and knowing that there's an issue. There's an issue persisting. There's something we need to address, right? And knowing this thing, understanding the reality gap will help you prepare your mind, transform your mind, which is why I always say that even as a female, even as a male, when you resume anywhere, the first thing you need to do is to understand the culture of the firm. Understand if it's somewhere that will allow you grow, if it's somewhere that your efforts will be appreciated, if it's somewhere that you can be included. Understand the culture. so that you would know how to approach it, so that you know how to best strategize in terms of inclusion as a female. The next thing will be actioning. It's not enough to be aware. I feel like so many people are aware. So many people, we're all aware. We know it's an issue, but over the years, what is being done? I mean, bit by bit, we're seeing efforts being done. This initiative is another effort being done. A female somewhere is having another initiative to drive inclusion for females. But it's not enough to be aware. We need to action it. I know we know that there's a gap. But even as females, what are we doing to measure up? So that when there's an equal opportunity, or if there's an equal access, we can say that we are the best fits. If you consider picking the male, you should consider picking me as a female as well, because I have what it takes. It is equal, right? I feel like we need to ask some questions in terms of our skills, in terms of our training. Where is it at? It is not enough to concentrate on what is in terms of the gap. It's enough to concentrate on what can we do to fill up the gap. Is there a problem? Do we have what it takes? Are we working on ourselves? Are we equipping ourselves? Are we educating ourselves? Right? Are we learning about leadership? So that when this platform comes, we can say it is equal because I have what it takes as well. Another thing, which would be the third thing, would be speaking up. We need to train ourselves as females to speak up when needed. Make yourself visible. Contribute your ideas. Make decisions. Don't be threatened by a room full of men. And it starts from even internships. It starts from even mid-level. It starts anywhere. You don't have to be a top management or an executive to drive decisions. If you have an idea, if you don't want to speak in general, go to see your CEO, go to see your the head of the team or something. It starts the belief that, we need to get to a certain stage before we can man the leadership title is old right now. You need to start assuming it even from your current level, right? And these are some of the things that you need to put in place. Speak up, train yourself. Make yourself visible. Contribute your ideas. Don't say, if I talk now, they'll feel like, no, say it, even if it's wrong, but you said it. I'll give an example. So there was somewhere I joined, and the first meeting with one of the teams, I gave an idea on how to best approach a situation. Even if I felt like, it was too fussy because I had just joined, I should typically be feeling timid or like being shy or not, let's just watch. But I had the idea and I thought it was the best idea and I put it out there. The next thing I started seeing that all the other staffs went on LinkedIn to start searching and trying to see, who is this person? So because I have spoken, I am being seen, even if it did not make a sense, but they'll remember that someone had spoken, and it's a female. Right. So it's very important to speak up sometimes, all the time, rather. I think my fourth point would be on making the HR your best buddy in the workplace. Well, it is what it is. There's a lot to be done in the Nigerian labor market and with companies. We would contribute our best to change it. But while we're trying to change the narrative, we should also make efforts to do all we can. If there's a situation, if you feel threatened as a female, if you think there's something wrong, the HR should be your best buddy if you cannot speak to the head of the team as a female. If the environment do not guarantee you or give you the platform where you can speak to your HR, it means there's something wrong. The environment is toxic and you should not be there. So typically, the HR unit should be an employee's best buddy. And if you ever feel threatened, I feel like you should always seek to approach them and let them know your consent. But before then, make sure that there's been efforts to put things in place. And as a female, the last part is dressing the part. I still believe, and I think I'll forever believe, that how you dress is how you're being addressed. I mean, equip yourself, educate yourself, have the equal have access to equal opportunities, have access to equal platform, be there mentally and physically. And I guess that's where the dressing part comes in as a female. I think these are some of the solutions that I think are very practical and relatable based on my experience that can help us push and change the bias of what female leadership should be or what female inclusion should be in a typical digital workforce or work environment. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Folashade, for, in fact, if we were thinking we are going to get this much value within these few minutes, maybe a lot of people might have not accepted, but I must thank you so much for how you were able to use your time very well and what you have shared so far. These are things that are affecting us, and with all these that you have shared, I believe strongly that if we don't just look at it, okay, now we know what next. We need to put them into action, just like what you have shared. I think to recap it, how we can go about it, the solution number one, you mentioned awareness. Yes, that is the beginning for you to know very well that at least there is a problem somewhere. And it doesn't need to just end there, after which the next one's supposed to be actioning. Yes, you have said it, actioning. That after being aware, what are you going to do? Though you also shared that a lot of people have initiatives that they want to put up like this, but how many people are able to do this? So on this note, I want to also give Sophia kudos for not being just at the side, knowing that, okay, there is a problem, but she was able to come up with a solution, which is like this. And you also said another thing that the females can do to be inclusive is to speak out. Yes, speak out. Don't just say that, okay, what they did to me is bad, and you go back hiding. Come out, speak up. Now, there we have the internet, we have different means by which you can get your message heard. Like what we are also doing here is one thing that can get your message heard. And before you know, it will attract the attention of all the concerned persons. So speak up. And she also said in the workplace, for you to solve this problem, you should also make the HR your best friend. Yeah. This is very important. You know, we that are into human resource management, we know that this is one thing that we fight from the beginning to the end, inclusion, because we know if the organization is not performing, it comes back to the HR. And so anything that has to do with performance, we try to trash it from the beginning to the end. So making us your friend, making the entire HR your friend is going to help you, because the HR is like they start driving the change. Then every other employee, then now move into it. And definitely if we do this, and lastly, she also made us to understand that as females, if you want to be a value provider in the organization, your dressing also matters. I know a lot of people have argued the fact that the way you dress should not be a yardstick for anything. But at some point, you know, we are humans, and definitely a lot of people, because they are not conscious of their bias, they still judge you based on how you dress. And because of this, if you really want to portray yourself as someone who should be inclusive in every decision making in an organization, how you dress also matters, because it creates your perception, how people see you. It is always said that the way you dress, okay, you are dressed the way you dress. So thank you so much, Folashade. I believe as I have noted a lot of things, so also other people. I'm going to open the floor for other people that have comments or questions. We will really appreciate them as we move forward. We have some people in the okay, we have a lot of participants. Okay, at the moment, I think some people have fallen off. Maybe they have some network issues. So if you have a question or you have a comment, please just unmute yourself and ask your question. We are open to all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do we have anybody? Eniola, if you have anything to say, you can unmute yourself and speak. Okay. Chukunonso has fallen off. Okay. Adelaku is trying to join back. Who else? Jennifer. Okay, they are all trying to join back. They are coming. While you are preparing your questions or your comment for anything that you want to say, I will also urge us, as Folashade have said, it's not just about knowing that there is a problem. It's about putting it into action. Let us go and spread the news about this platform. Let us form allies. We have been educated more about allyship today. Let's form allies. That is why I myself am committed to this purpose. I'm going to work with Sophia all through and in everything that definitely we will achieve this. Folashade talked about something about the inclusive leadership. In my platform, because that is our basic focus on leadership, we have never hosted a program where we don't have females come to share their views on leadership. And mostly what we discuss there is about the youth. And I believe so much because over time, I've been able to liaise with a lot of females, and I've seen the potentials in them. I believe most times we just see this male thing as being overrated. I know that definitely we have a lot of sound female friends and sisters in different aspects, in different sectors that are doing very well, and bringing them in leadership issues is something that will really strengthen us and make them feel that safety, that okay, we can plan together, we can do a lot of things together. So let us not just keep whatever we have learned today to ourselves, but we should be able to go out and ensure that other people make them know that there is a gap between that awareness that they already know, because they know already, and what is required. So at this moment, I would like to give room for Sophia, if she has a little thing to say about what Folashade has discussed. Then after which we can now hear just brief from Folashade as we now move on to the next session. So Sophia, just a word or two before we go back to Folashade.
Okay, thank you very much, Folashade. I really, really appreciate this. Thank you so much for this. Yeah, according to from what Folashade said on female leadership, it's actually true. A lot of women are needed in the leadership role. It doesn't just have to do with those in the top level managers. It has to do with as little as you in the middle level or internship role. You can't. Inclusion is not just for. It's not for leaders. It's not just for HR. Oh, I always hear people say things like, "Oh, it's for HR. It's HR's job to make sure everybody feels inclusive or feels belonging in the organization." It's not just a HR thing. It's an everybody's thing. Do you understand? So everybody needs to put in that conscious effort. It's what you do every day. It's a habit. Inclusion is a habit. It's something that you cultivate. It's lifelong. It has no beginning. It has no end. It basically has no end. You just have to do it. If you've promised yourself, oh, okay, once I step into the office, from the driver down to the gate man, to every single person, everybody, they need to feel like they belong in your association around you. They need to feel belonging. It's really big, and you need to do something about it. If you think being aware is enough, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's not enough. If you think you just saying, oh, I know there's unconscious bias, I'll try to stop unconscious bias, it's not enough. You have to put in action. Like Folashade said, you have to put in action. You have to do it every single day. If you say, okay, you don't want to come out to say it to everybody, you can go to platforms like platform I'm creating. You can go to platform like that where you feel you can speak to anybody. You can speak to me, anybody about it. You can discuss it together. People need to learn from your stories. You don't know that people need to learn from your stories. They need to feel belonging. And if they don't feel that way, the youth now and people now generally are looking to work in environments where they feel like their impact is making is doing something in the decision making of the organization. I want to feel like what I'm doing is contributing to decision making of the organization, no matter how little it is. I don't have to be a manager to make decisions. So because of that, that's where I'm going to end for now, while we have our last speaker for the day. Thank you very much, Obetun, for this. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Over to our moderator.
All right, that's a nice addition from Sophia. Wonderful one indeed. So Folashade, before we go, I would like to have your last words that you have for us so that we can move to the next session.
All right. I would like to say that the role of leadership has changed from top level, where you expect maybe your boss to always give instructions or help the decision-making process. I would like to encourage that every one of us, regardless of our level, should also take it as a mantle to get involved in the decision-making processes, share your ideas. It doesn't matter if you're an intern or if you're first level or you've been there for 2 years. It's it has changed towards the other way, it has gone the other way around. So I guess practicing this will help inclusion. And remember that it always starts with you. I guess that'll be all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Folashade. It has been a very wonderful time having you on this session today. And I believe even the entire team is happy that you are here to share your knowledge from your knowledge bank to everybody. And we hope that whenever we call you to come here and do the same thing, you will always be available, and also maybe even help in pushing the platform forward to other people so that they can come in. We are creating partnerships with a lot of people, and we believe you will be ready to work with us. Maybe after the session, we can still have a meeting with the team and you and other people who will be willing so that we can push this forward. To all the participants, I can see Adelaku is here, Niola, and the rest. We want to thank you so much. Just as you have stated this moment, prepare yourself. We are going into the last session, and I strongly believe that, you know, they always say that the last sessions are always superb. Let's see whether it's going to be more than what we have already heard now, if that is really true. So let's prepare ourselves as we are going into the next session that will be anchored by, we will hear from Samuel. So let's also do the same thing. Let us refresh the page as we will be hearing from Samuel. Once again, my name remains Obetun Mban. I see you on the other side. Just leave the platform and log in back, and